Every person you have ever met stopped growing decades ago. Somewhere in your teens or early 20s, a set of switches deep in your bones flipped off. The soft growth zones at the ends of your long bones turned to solid bone. The signal to get bigger went quiet, and your body locked to its final size for the rest of your life. That is how it works for you, for every mammal, for every bird. It is not how it works for the animals in your rivers. There are animals living in American freshwater right now whose bodies never received that shutdown order. The switch was never installed as long as there is food and space and time. They keep adding length and mass slower and slower, but never fully stopping for decades, sometimes for more than a century. Biologists call it indeterminate growth, and it means something genuinely strange. For these animals, size is not a fixed trait. It is a readout of age. The biggest one in the river is almost always the oldest one in the river, and there is no natural line where it was ever supposed to stop. Today we are counting down 8 animals in American rivers that grow their entire lives and never truly stop. Ranked not by which is biggest today, but by how completely each one breaks the rule your own body follows, and by how far that has let a single individual go, and by the time we reach number 1, you will understand why the calm surface of a river tells you nothing about the size of the oldest thing beneath it. If this is the kind of thing that keeps your mind turning after dark, subscribe now. It takes 2 seconds. And tell me one thing in the comments. What is the biggest fish you have ever personally seen come out of the water? I want the number, now. Let us get under the surface. Number 8, the common snapping turtle. We start in the mud at the bottom of nearly every river in the eastern half of the country. The common snapping turtle keeps growing its whole life, adding to its shell year after year, laying down new material along the plates the way a tree lays down rings. A big one passes 35 pounds, and the largest are always the oldest, animals that have been sitting in the same stretch of river since before the houses on the bank were built. Here is where the strangeness starts. The turtle does not stop at an adult size and hold there like you did. It just keeps thickening, keeps widening, decade after decade, because the biological breaks that stopped your growth were never part of its design. The denial is the word turtle, which makes us picture a fixed little thing in a tank. Number 8 belongs to the animal quietly getting larger in the mud for its entire life. In water we wade through every summer. Number 7, the paddlefish. Now to one of the strangest bodies in the river, and one that never stops adding to itself. The American paddlefish, with its long flat blade of a snout and its smooth scaleless hide, drifts through the big rivers of the heartland filtering plankton, and it can pass 7 feet and 120 pounds. It lives for decades, some past 30 years, and across all of it, it keeps growing. What makes the paddlefish matter here is how it gets so large. It does it on the smallest food in the river, tiny drifting plankton, straining a constant trickle of almost nothing into a body that never stops expanding. The denial is that we expect a giant to be a hunter seizing big meals. This one just never switches off, converting dust into size for its entire life. Number 7 goes to the filter feeder that grows into a giant on a diet of specks. Number 6, the flathead catfish. Now to a genuine river monster whose size is a direct measure of its age. The flathead catfish is a hunting catfish, not a scavenger, and it lives in the deep holes, the undercut banks, and the sunken timber of southern and midwestern rivers. The rod and reel record stands over 120 pounds. And a flathead does not reach some set adult size and stop. It keeps growing for as long as it lives, which can be more than 20 years. That is why a 100-pound flathead is not just a big fish, it is an old fish, an animal that has been eating and expanding in the same dark stretch of river for 2 decades or more, claiming the best ambush cover and growing large enough to swallow prey that would choke a smaller fish. The denial is the friendly word catfish. What sits in that black undercut bank is a predator whose size is a clock. Number 6 belongs to the ambush giant that has been growing in the dark for 20 years. Number 5, the blue catfish. We are right at the halfway mark, and if you're still here, you clearly want to know how big these things really get, so hit subscribe if you have not yet, because from here the sizes start to break belief. The blue catfish is the largest catfish in North America, and where it has been dropped into rivers and reservoirs outside its native range, it grows without any real limit. The rod and reel record passes 140 pounds, and commercial nets have brought up larger. Like every animal on this list, it never stops. A blue cat just keeps converting the river into body mass, year after year, decade after decade. And this is where indeterminate growth stops being a curiosity and becomes an ecological problem. Introduced into new rivers, the blue catfish keeps growing past the size of any native predator, eating whatever fits in its mouth, until a single fish is 140 pounds of appetite that nothing else in the water can challenge. The denial is comfort. The fish fry, the whiskered bottom feeder. Number 5 goes to the endless growing giant, swallowing entire river systems whole. Number 4, the alligator snapping turtle. Now to the heavier, older stranger cousin of the animal we started with, and one of the greatest examples of lifelong growth in North America. The alligator snapping turtle can live over 100 years, and it keeps growing across that entire century. The largest verified individual weighed 249 pounds. It grows so slowly and for so long that its size is essentially a direct reading of how many decades it has been sitting on the river bottom.
And it does all of that growth while barely moving. It is an ambush hunter that can hold motionless for hours, mouth open, wiggling a pink worm-shaped lure on its tongue to draw fish in. It spends a century mostly still and grows the entire time. The denial is that nothing that's sedentary should become that enormous. But with no shut-off switch and 100 years to work with, stillness is enough. Number 4 belongs to the 200-pound turtle that grew for a century without going anywhere. Number 3, the alligator gar. Now to the second largest freshwater fish on the continent, an armored, needle-toothed giant that grows past 10 feet and 300 pounds in southern rivers. And the alligator gar is one of the clearest cases of size equaling age that exists in American water. That record fish, 327 pounds, was examined by biologists and found to be 99 years old. Nearly a century of uninterrupted growth in a single animal. The gar does not have a final adult form. It has a starting point and then a long, slow, lifelong climb. And the giants are simply the ones that have been climbing the longest, the ones that slipped every net and hook for the better part of 100 years. Every one of those old giants is still, technically, growing. The denial is that people treat a fish this size as a freak, a one-off monster, when it is really just an ordinary gar that was left alone long enough to keep doing what all of them do. Number 3 goes to the near-century-old giant that never stopped adding to itself. Number 2, the lake sturgeon. Before we reach number 1, we come to the animal that takes lifelong growth to its true extreme, because it does it for longer than almost anything else in fresh water. The lake sturgeon can live beyond 100 years, some estimates reaching 150, and across that entire immense lifespan it never stops growing. It can pass 7 feet and, as one recovered from the Detroit River proved, weigh over 240 pounds. Sit with what that means. A sturgeon does not reach a size and hold it for a century. It spends the whole century slowly getting larger, which is why the true giants are so staggeringly old, animals that have been adding to themselves since before anyone alive was born. The females do not even begin to reproduce until their 20s and grow steadily the entire time. The denial is that a fish in a lake or river people boat on could be older than the oldest person they have ever met, and still growing. Number 2 belongs to the freshwater giant that has been getting bigger for over 100 years and is not finished. Number 1, the reason they can stay with me, because number 1 is not another animal. It is the thing every animal on this list shares. The reason any of it is possible, and it is stranger than any single fish.
In your body, growth is switched off on a schedule. In these animals, that switch does not exist. The internal signal that drives the building of new tissue, the same basic growth machinery you have, simply never shuts down in them. It keeps running at full function into old age, decade after decade, telling the body to keep laying down new cells long after you would have stopped. There is no programmed end. The only things that ever halt the growth are the outside world running out. Not enough food, not enough space, or death arriving first. And that is the thread through all 8. We look at a river and see a fixed, finished place, full of animals that reach their size and settled, the way we do. But the animals down there did not settle. They are still going. The gar is still adding length. The sturgeon is still gaining weight. The turtle in the mud is still widening its shell. Every giant in that water is not a freak or an exception. It is simply an ordinary animal that was left alone long enough, in an animal whose body was never told to stop. So the next time you look at the calm surface of an American river, remember that the biggest thing beneath it is almost certainly the oldest, that it has been growing since before you were born, and that as far as its own body is concerned, it never intends to stop. If this is the kind of thing that keeps your mind turning after dark, subscribe and stay with the channel. And tell me in the comments, what is the biggest thing you have ever seen come out of the water?